Good morning, everybody. What is up? It's your good friend Brian McGill and Corey Camp back at you with another What's Up Wednesday. Corey, how you doing today?
I'm good. I'm surviving. I'm on some new antibiotics because I've got this ear infection and possibly strep, but life goes on. So it's hit our household. At least it's not the flu. I'm okay with strep for a little while. So other than that, unlike last Wednesday, I have my coffee this morning. And so I'm getting my go-to.
Lucky girl.
Yep.
Lucky girl. I hope you feel better. I mean, there's always kind of something going around during these winter months, so we just got to keep on and carry on. So
Right.
Today I'm here at the ESEA conference in Atlanta, Georgia. We've got a great session lined up with the folks at Liberty Point Elementary School, navigating the jungle of observation and feedback. So right behind me, you'll start to see some folks kind of trickling in and out of that room as our session starts at 10:45. So get excited.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Yes. Yeah. So speaking of you being at conferences, this is our new visual that we have for you. We're pretty excited about it.
Oh my gosh.
Brian on the road show. It's perfect. It's absolutely, that Hawaiian shirt's awesome. So you're at ESEA this week, and then in a couple more weeks you'll be at AACT. So any news for our followers about these upcoming two conferences?
If you're going to be in Atlanta any of these weeks, shoot me a text, send me an email. I'm going to be around. Some of you are asking for lunch and learn. Some of you are asking for demos. So I'll be in the area. Otherwise, we're happy to connect with you over Zoom. And big conference out in Los Angeles. We've got a couple of conference sessions, one with a Title I turnaround school in North Carolina, my men. Some of my favorites out in Durham County Public Schools, Dr. Michael Fuga and his instructional leadership team will be out there for educating forward to a great week in LA. So anyways, more to come on the ASCD conference in the coming weeks.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
I want to announce real quick before we get started on our show, we dropped this week our newest course on the Sibme Learning Center. So if you haven't been to the Sibme Learning Center, whether you are a Sibme subscriber or not, we've got something here for you. And our goal this past year has been really to help inform educators about the various ways that video can be used. So video can be really placed in just about any professional learning model. So student teaching in video is our newest course that we have. So go check it out. It's got some great highlights from our friends at San Diego State University and Sweetwater Union High School District. And so we have tons of activities that allow you to really get to know not just what will video be like, but activities on how to begin putting this into place for your student teaching program. Whether you're the cooperating teacher looking for some ways you can maximize your time with your student teachers, or your university supervisor or a program, we've got some things here for you to start to put all of that stuff into action with video. So definitely check out our Learning Center and our new student teaching course. All right, Brian.
Excellent.
I'm super excited about our segment for today with our guest.
We are going coast to coast, everybody, with our good friend Josh Noteboom from Bruneau Elementary School.
Yeah.
Bring it up.
So welcome, Josh.
Hi, guys.
So Josh, you're the principal there at Bruneau Elementary, and you're in a joint school district, Grandview and Bruneau. By the way, I said your district's name wrong, probably the first 6 months that you were a customer. Don't ask me what I used to say it was, but it was not Bruneau. And I had to talk with Jenny, your customer. I was like, are you sure? And she's like, yeah, you're saying it wrong. So I'm bad with names. Everybody knows this by now. So I'm super excited for today's topic. So you guys, you're not new to the world of video for professional learning. Your campus has been using it for a while, but you've kind of been just sticking into that self-reflection, right? I'll record myself, I'll watch myself, but that's as far as it kind of goes. And I know you all came to us looking a little bit more for some collaboration. So So Brian, I'm going to let you kick us off with the first question for today.
So Josh, I remember us meeting about this time last year on essentially starting with a trial and just kind of start engaging some of your first year stakeholders. Talk to us a little bit about how you got started and why this kind of made sense for your campus, your vision.
Yeah, so as you said, Corey, their video has been a small piece of our work to make sure that we're continuing to improve every day. And we took really just from Jim Knight's work there, kind of just did a cowboy version of, videoing with whatever we had and, using YouTube or just, holding up an iPad to each other and, but really just engaging in that self-reflection. Mm-hmm. And our cadence was really only maybe 6 a year that we were kind of getting into. So not very frequently, but we had already engaged in some of this work to try to get our folks to use video as a vehicle to engage in self-reflection and ultimately to keep improving every day for the sake of their kids. So we had already been there, as you said. And the challenge for us is our district is geographically spread out. And for me, I was the leader of 2 elementary schools that are 20 miles apart with tiny populations. So we've got combo classes where teachers are not only the only teacher in their grade, but they're teaching multiple grades. So that ability to collaborate effectively was very difficult given our very rural setting. And so really, we were trying to find a way to take what we already knew with video and the little bits of success that we had and find a way to try to build off of that. One of the big things we absolutely didn't have is the ability to collaborate well. We have in our future goals someday to engage in, more lesson study, mm-hmm. to really do more collaborative work, to be able to share practices within our classrooms more often, because some of those other traditional things like instructional tours just aren't feasible when you have to drive across the valley to get to each other. So we really needed a solution to do those things and to start beginning to build that work in our community. And I just happened to have the luck of being a part of Justin Bader's work, and he popped Sibme up one day and said, "Hey, check this out if this is it for you." And that's really how we got started. And so it's been kind of our intro to getting us here, and then we just jumped in wholeheartely because we already knew the power of video, and we just needed a way to make that a bit more seamless for our folks.
Yeah, really, it really does help. I like you, I was kind of cowboying it with video for a while. I like that term because I'm from Texas. So, but I've been using video for 12 years now. I only came across Sibme probably, what was that, Brian, 5-6 years ago, maybe 5 or 4. I might be adding a year or 2 there, but having a solution as opposed to just kind of trying to find some ways to kind of put things together and it's not very seamless really made the difference for me and the people I coach to be able to have this place, a learning place to go to where it's all nicely tied together. So I think that's really helpful. And again, that opens more doors for collaboration when I can seamlessly share that video. It's still safe and secure. We can have conversations directly on it instead of just about it. So I think that's definitely something that's helpful. So to this point, what outcomes have you realized so far with your campus? How's it going? I know you had some of those ambitions, but I also know, implementation is one of the hardest things in the first few years as you're figuring out where the dust is going to settle around the use of video. So what outcomes do you have so far?
So some immediate ones. The immediate solutions were that it gave us that ability to have one central place to house video, right? It gave us a seamless way to upload it for our own personal self-reflection. And I got the pleasure of being able to jump into the classroom again and get to use that myself as a user. And so, just being able to see how easy it was for the individual user to be able to get video uploaded, to look at it, to be able to record on right there in the video. Self-reflection really was improved, which we weren't really expecting that necessarily. We were looking for the other pieces coming down the line, but immediately it just allowed a much more seamless way for us to engage in video personally, just individually as teachers. The other one that we saw pretty immediately is that was kind of our first, I think, maybe little baby step. Our goal someday is to get to this point where everybody's sharing video together and we're doing some collaborative work and we're embedding that within our PLC structure and doing some of those things. And like I said, trying to get to lesson study and some more rigorous work, but we haven't gotten there yet. And part of that, I think, is, like you said, some of our challenges are we are engaged in a turnaround process. I'm super proud of my folks. I think our school actually, in terms of reading, so for Idaho, that's the Idaho Reading Indicator, I think we're the highest growing school last year on our IRI scores in the state of Idaho.
That's amazing.
Yeah, celebration for them.
Way to go.
Yeah.
And so, as you can imagine, the work and the focus and the attention to get there, dominates a bit of your time. And so one of our challenges has been how to continue with this new initiative, as well as continuing to do our work in our PLCs. And interestingly, in pockets, for individuals that are gung-ho, it absolutely has aided that. Their ability to use video to look and see the reality of their instruction drastically enhances what they're able to do in changing the work that we're doing collectively for themselves in the classroom. So they're seeing some benefits. But trying to get folks to, do it a bit more regularly. I said our cadence was about 6 a year. And really, we were trying to shoot for, monthly, maybe a little bit more frequently. And for some folks, they're there. And as you can imagine, for some other folks, it's hard to build that habit, build that comfort to do so. But, the initial barriers are gone. It's so easy to pick up your phone, pick up an iPad, pick up anything and just click it and go.
Yeah.
And you can start making video. And it's funny, but those little simple things have made a difference for folks. It's not as rigorous as going and checking out a device or finding somebody and setting it up and, worrying about uploading it because it uploads it immediately. Those immediate things, so small really, but are really making a difference for us. So, so individually, our successes are individual, right? The teachers that are doing well, we're able to kind of push, the missions have made a difference. I can say because we already engaged in video, we were creating a lot of our own content to try to encourage and help folks to use video well. And like I said, we use Jim Knight as kind of the background of that and his work. But we were self-creating that. And so one of the side benefits that I didn't really expect is some folks are starting to look at the Sibme missions, and we're starting to look at engaging in the Learning Center more often. What that's doing for us, especially as a small rural school, is already creating that support for our teachers in how to use video, to be prepared for it, to think about it ahead of time, to prompt them in that reflection. We're not having to create that content. It's created for us, and that's huge. That just takes so much of that energy and time and barrier off of me as the leader for those folks, because it's right there for them. So there's some early successes there, but we haven't fully gotten to the collaborative place. We've got some work to do to get that going, and we've had conversations within our PLCs about how do we take our new learning that we're having and how we go back and look at it, but still trying to break down those barriers of sharing video with each other, I think is one of the things we're actively having to work on, establishing those norms and that comfort to do that. But one of the things that we have done, another success there, is that one-on-one, we've been able to engage in some coaching huddles. And so as trust is built, with me and with my teachers, they're able to share video one-on-one. And so I think we're taking the steps in that direction. We're getting there. If they're willing to share with me and there's some trust there that we can look at video together, I think we're well on our way. So, so I've been excited to see some of that building so far this year.
Well, and it is a process, right? It's not just figuring out how do we do this work of video, but, how can we do it more efficiently, more effectively? What does this look like with this new initiative in mind, or with the current things that our PLC is doing? How can video supplement, augment, or even supplant some of those things in a meaningful way? But it's also this, when you switch from this reflective practice, which is a practice and it's a habit and it's something that, structure really supports. So y'all had a lot of that down. It just needed to be increased in frequency, it sounded like. But then also when we go into sharing and the coaching piece, it's the feedback process and being able to process feedback. So I'm used to seeing myself and giving myself feedback, but now I'm taking in processes from others. I was just listening to a podcast, the School Leadership Podcast. I don't know if you listened to that at all. It's been a while since I tuned into that podcast, but I listened to it this morning, and it was all about tough conversations and critical feedback. And they talked a little bit about 3 triggers that we have that affect our, look, I have a little notepad, that affect the way that we receive feedback. And some of these are truth. So am I feeling that there's some truth to what you're saying? I've always been told I was a great teacher, and now you're coming in and saying I need to change something. Or you only saw a small snip of my classroom. If you hadn't left, you would have seen, something else. So that truth trigger can have an impact. The other one is the relationship. What's my relationship? If you're a new principal on my campus, like, who are you to come in here and start telling me and giving me this feedback, which again, video is great for that, because you can rely a lot on the self piece and you've got this objective artifact to look at. And then the third one is identity. Really being able to take that feedback and say, well, maybe you didn't see everything, but is there some truth within this? Is there, some ways that I can make some changes? So I think that's a big part of that process where you're trying to move into that next phase, is your teachers are learning how to give and receive feedback with colleagues as well around this video practice. And that takes time. So that's exciting. Brian, do you have anything else for Josh here? We want to talk about maybe looking at the future.
Yeah, I mean, Josh, this sounds like you've paired growth mindset with video enhanced professional learning very well, and that kind of growth mindset turns into obviously great gains for your school. Where do you think that growth mindset is going to take you next?
Oh my gosh, that growth mindset being one of the pieces of our culture. Culture really is a multiplier of the work, and I think I've seen that in the last couple of years with our schools here compared to previous schools that I've been at. As my learning has grown as a leader, I didn't fully grasp that, but taking intentional steps as a staff to build things like being humble and being a team player and talking about our mindset that we bring to our work and looking at people as if they matter just as much as we do, and establishing those conversations and that work that builds on your culture. I think we've experienced this year that it has taken the typical work we do at school, some of the stuff we're even talking about here, and it multiplies the effects that we get. And that's incredible. And so I think as we continue to work to foster a growth mindset in our folks and use video and keep using this vehicle as a way to enact on that, oh my gosh, I mean, like I said, we've already experienced some success. I can only imagine what's going to happen in the future for us as we continue to just actively work on that. And I'm only now beginning to realize that for the first time as a leader, how important that culture is. That it really sets a foundation for all of this work. So,
well, it's always exciting to see how growth mindset in our teachers translates to growth mindset in our students, and so that's an important piece to our culture. So, Corey, that's all I've got for today. Yeah. Josh, thank you so much for joining us. We're so happy that you were able to join our community this morning, and look forward to more work with you this year and through next year. So, Corey, do you want to close us out?
Yeah. Josh, thanks again for joining us. We're going to move into our next segment. We'll talk to you soon. And hey, have you have you seen on the Learning Center? I feel like we've talked about this. We've got a course on lesson study and video that has a whole process outlined. So when you guys are ready, that course is there for you. So
I've been looking at it. I'm excited.
okay, good. All right, Josh. Well, thanks again for joining us, and we'll see you soon.
Thanks, Corey. Thanks, Brian. Appreciate you.
All right, Brian. So it's time for our shout outs. Are you ready for this? And let me change my screen share here so I can share this without. I've been flipping back and forth between screens, and that doesn't work well for me. So here we go. All right. So shout outs today. Here we are. I love him. So Mercer County Head Start. Super excited. Brian, are these one of your guys?
What's up, Pennsylvania?
I knew at least the Pennsylvania part. So yeah, Mercer County Head Start has some really awesome things happening there. Great engagement. Their participation is almost 100%. And what that means is they're really using video a lot. The coach there has the teachers who are doing the recording. So there's a lot of choice in there. They're choosing what to record, when to record, what to share then with the coach for feedback. And then they're also using frameworks like the early learning outcomes in class and all of those frameworks that we know are so important when we look at the development of an early child in early childhood. And so they're using those to just kind of maximize their work. So shout out to Mercer County Head Start.
They are wonderful. I can't wait for my next meeting with them.
Yeah. And then we've got a shout out to our leader there at University of Georgia. So maybe you can pop by and say hi while you're down there in Atlanta. Mm-hmm. So Sarah she made a plan. When we met with her, she had a really clear plan in mind for how she was going to use video. Of course, EdTPA had some things to play with it. And because we are integrated with EdTPA, that was one of the goals, but she wanted video in her program to be much more than just this portfolio collection and submission for EdTPA. So they are wrapping up the EdTPA submissions in the next 2 weeks, and she's really excited about more what she calls creative uses of video as they begin to focus on the craft of teaching. So once EdTPA submission is done, her students are not done using video. They're going to continue using this to reflect and refine on all the awesome things that they're doing. So shout out to University of Georgia. All right. That's all I have, Brian. So
we are getting ready to go in and do navigating the jungle of observation and feedback.
All right.
The stars of today's presentation are headed to the room. Check it out.
There they are.
All right.
All right.
Go
Bye,
Liberty
Brian.
Point.
Go Liberty
Talk to you soon.
Point.
Bye now.